Now, the coronavirus pandemic could lead to youth unemployment rising by 600,000 this year and also make it harder for young people to find work for years to come. The Resolution Foundation says the government must provide additional support as soon as possible to combat this. Well, let's speak to Nigel Morris, who's a trustee of the charity Working Options in Education. And why do you think it's the youth particularly who are going to be affected by unemployment?
Yeah, the Resolution Foundation report, which is the class of 2020, does highlight, as you say, 640,000 additional young people coming onto the unemployment register in the summer. What we've seen in recessions in the past is that the people coming into the job market during those recessions are the most vulnerable and the hardest hit, both in the short term and the long term. And
so these are, sorry, just to clarify, but these are people who are basically coming out of school or leaving university this summer.
That's right. When you're entering the job market, coming out of school, whether it's at 16, 18, or, as you say, leaving university. And we actually set up Working Options in the aftermath of the financial crisis. And we've been working for 9 years, especially with 16 to 18s in the most deprived areas, making positive interventions to actually make them build their employability skills, create options for them and create opportunities. And what we've seen is
they will have fewer opportunities this year.
They're going to have way fewer opportunities. What we've also found is that actually the same issues come up year after year. And what we've got this time is a real opportunity to create a broader positive intervention. But what we need is real scope and scale of intervention by the government to enable that. And interestingly, there's a few of us working on the kind of solution that would work. It's VE Day on Friday. Coming out of that crisis, and they always say don't waste a good crisis, was the NHS, which is saving lives now. And there's a real opportunity for the government to create a positive framework to create a real future for young people that actually helps the productivity and sustainability of the economy and society as well.
There will be those who will say to you, given what is happening at the moment, that there will be many people who are not youngsters. There are people who middle age into early old age who are working, who may have been furloughed, who have children, who have partners to support, who have mortgages to pay. They too will be facing the prospect of unemployment this summer. Shouldn't they be the priority?
Well, I think that what they're doing, what you're seeing there, is a problem doubled. And what we have to do is the cost of mass youth unemployment over a period of time is going to be crippling for the economy. 640,000 people coming into that job market this year. If we don't fix it, both in the short term and the long term, you'll get another cohort coming in the following year and the following year. And that will not be good for anybody. And actually, what we've got, the government has got a long-term industrial strategy. That really focuses on building a more digital economy, looking at sustainability, looking at, say, the electrification of the motor industry, looking at 25% of the carbon footprint of the UK is actually out of home heating systems. How do we actually galvanise and actually capture the energy, creativity and the talent of young people and actually take the cost that was going to be in mass youth unemployment and actually enable people like Working Options, people like Uprising, all the different local government institutions, the NGOs, who are actually making individual interventions and actually bring them together in a network to actually really enable young people. And very importantly, I think we've got to take and put young people at the heart of the solution, because a solution that is future-facing, that builds a kind of future like we had after the Second World War, is actually good for older people as well. And actually, we have to put young people at the future, at the centre of the solution, because what we need is a really positive adoption, because we know for all areas of society, long-term youth mass employment will be a real drag on the economy and cause a real problem in society.
But But there'll be those who look at what's happened and say, for all of the dreadful deaths and the lives lost, that the coronavirus possibly has given some opportunities to the young. It's taught many of us how to work from home. Far more people, as you say, are using remote technology. And without stereotyping, the younger generation is certainly streets ahead of many in the older generation at being able to work in this environment. The fact that the working environment potentially may change as a result of this, isn't that good for the young?
Well, it could be if we actually create the infrastructure for it to be good. And as I say, we have a real chance to revolutionise the productivity of the country. We have a real chance to create greater social mobility. Because remember, some of the biggest sectors employing young people, like hospitality, are the most crippled within the crisis. And how do we take those people who would normally just go into a hospitality job, into some of the other areas that have been most hard hit by the crisis, and actually, as you say, actually capture what they're very good at, which is much more natively working in a digital way. And I think the point you make is a very good one, which is the digitization of the economy has accelerated at least 2 years in the last 2 months. How do we capture that to the competitive advantage of the UK? How do we capture that as the competitive advantage that helps all areas of society and all age groups in society by capturing the talent of the young for the benefit of everyone, not just the benefit of the few?
OK, Nigel Morris, interesting to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The German government has announced a range of steps easing the country's lockdown, saying that the first phase of the pandemic has passed. Chancellor Angela Merkel says people from 2 households will be allowed to meet.